hundreds of universities are being targeted with spoofed emails. But it's not just college. Some watchdog groups say education saw the largest year-over-year increase in email fraud attacks last year. Tech expert Dave Hatter is here to explain how students are being scammed and how they can protect themselves. And I mean, kids in first grade have email these days, so yeah, education is a pretty big target. What are these scams looking like, Dave?
So in many cases what they'll do is they'll go out, they'll target a university, they'll go to like the university's library because they know students are going to need to use the library. Mm-hmm. They'll scrape the logos, they'll scrape the text, they might even get names of like the librarians or the director of the library. So they're going to create very realistic phishing emails. And then they'll buy a list somewhere, target these students, send out an email that looks very realistic, and it might say something like you're going to lose your library access. And of course, they'll target these to the beginning of school or perhaps like right after a Christmas break or something, or towards the end of school where they know people will be in kind of a frenzy. There's a lot of activity going on. They're probably going to question these things less. And ideally what they're going to try to do is one of two things. Either get their credentials because they click on a link.
Credentials, yeah.
The student gets the fake phishing email. Mm-hmm. They go to their website, they try to log in, so now they've stolen their credentials, which potentially gives them access to all of the rich information in the student information system there about that student that they can use for identity theft. Or what they might do is know that many people, unfortunately, use the same credentials on multiple sites. So now they might try to log into a bank using those credentials. And I want to remind people, you know, this is not somebody sitting in their basement going to go type all these things in and try.
This is very sophisticated.
Very sophisticated and very automated. So they may hit like every bank in the United States with these stolen credentials, hoping that they'll work. You know, it's all automated.
And it just takes one or two where they get lucky, right?
Exactly. And now suddenly your account is drained. Or it might be malware. They might download a keystroke logger, but typically they're trying to steal credentials.
Okay. Now, I was also reading in your talking points that they also might put malware into resources that students use, like textbooks online, things like that.
Yeah, this is another sneaky attack. So Kaspersky is another security research company out there. They make antivirus software and that kind of thing. They found that a lot of sites, so students, if they have to buy textbooks, you know, they're very expensive. They want to try to avoid that. Who doesn't?
Right.
I mean, they're very incredibly expensive. So in many cases, they'll go out and try to find electronic textbooks, or some universities have now increasingly switched to electronic textbooks. So you'll get a link to maybe some like real cheap site or essays. Who doesn't want to use CliffsNotes or something when they got to write an essay, right? So they're trying to direct you to these sites where you think you're going to get a textbook for next to nothing or for free, or you're going to get an essay.
Some resource, yeah.
Something like that, something you would need as a student. And apparently English textbooks have been highly targeted in this space. And you go open the thing up, it downloads some malware. It could be ransomware, it could be a keystroke logger, so they're going to steal your credentials. So it's really just extremely important to warn students. And this could easily apply to a large school district like a Lakota or Kenton County, where you've got thousands of students. It's a target-rich environment. They're creating very realistic emails to try to drive you to these things. So yeah, people need to be aware.
So what exactly should students do to avoid some of this stuff?
There's several things you can do. First off, and we've talked about this before, Sheila, use multi-factor authentication anywhere you can. Set up all your accounts so that even if someone steals your credentials, they can't log in without that PIN or something you're going to get on a cell phone. Use a unique, strong password for every site. So again, if your credentials are stolen on one site, especially when coupled with MFA, it's going to make it very, very difficult for someone to log in. Be skeptical. These phishing attacks are increasingly common and increasingly sophisticated.
Don't just click on an email that you get.
Don't just click on it. If you get it and you say, okay, well, you know, yeah, this could be legitimate from the library, use some type of out-of-band verification. Call the library. You send a brand new email to the library, the help desk, whoever you would reach out to and say, is this legitimate? Because you're really accomplishing two things. You're not only protecting yourself, you're informing them that there's some kind of scam out there potentially, so now they can warn other students and faculty and so forth, so they don't get hit with this thing as well.
That's great. Dave Hatter, thanks a lot.
Always my
pleasure.
Great
information.
Thanks, Sheila.
We'll be right back.